oh, good God. Oh, Max Boyce. Oh, good God. Oh, good. Oggy. Oh.
It's the only comedy album to ever do so.
Once I was above the Beatles and Pink Floyd and all
We were going to
I was right. But is there any job or something that you've done that has left a mark on you, whether it's good or bad? Like something
riding
really
bulls.
What?
When I'm in England, people come up to me and they say, well, Max, you had or Mr. Boyce, they say, so you had a remarkable career. When I'm in the valleys, they come up to me in the valleys and they say, you're still going then? Give a guess who I got in the bath. Who have you got now? Barry John, yes, he said, don't leave the water out, he said, we'll bottle it. A year ago, a local builder, he was a bit of an historian, came across this cutting in the paper about what had happened to my father. And he sent it to me, and only then I found out the details of what had happened. If you can say to someone then about so, oh, die Thomas, good Collier.
Yeah.
If you could say that,
It's a measure of a man.
that was a measure of a man. Good Collier. All the press of the world, all the press of America waiting for me to get off the plane. This fantastic overseas signing, you know. I wear number 85, Too Tall Jones from USC. And I was wearing number 10 from Treforest School of Mines.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing, Jed?
All right, Bet, that's not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, awesome. Now, guys, we're going to keep it short and sharp. Where are we, Jed?
Well, we are actually in the Glynneath RFC club, rugby club, and we're in the Max Boyce Lounge. As you can tell behind us, look at this beautiful photo.
That's Max Boyce, by the way.
That's who we're interviewing today. Not the real Max Boyce, just that.
Oh, you thought he was coming?
You thought he was coming?
Oh, of course he's coming in, Jed. This is probably going to be the best episode we've ever done. We've peaked already this early. So, guys,
there's nowhere to go from here.
Yeah.
So, Max is on his way. He'll be here very shortly. But first, we want to say thank you to a few special sponsors who have decided to sponsor this episode. We've reached out to local businesses. One is Trust Scaffolding. Greg and Roy, thank you very much. The website is linked below, and all the social media will be linked in the caption as well. If you'd like any scaffolding done in the Neath Valley area or beyond in Wales, wherever they go, everywhere. So get in touch with them.
Good company.
Great company and really good boys. Well, thank you very much for
Cheers,
that, boys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
The next sponsor is Wales Roofing Solutions. So Mr. James Parry, ex-captain of the club, is sponsoring the episode as well. Thank you very much, James. The whole website will be on the screen now and below. Wales-roofing-solutions.co.uk. Thank you, James. Massively appreciate that as well.
Again, thanks, boys. Can't thank you enough.
Massively. And thanks to Warmer Glaze, obviously, and to Lloyd's Oakley Driving School. Now, get that stuff out of the way.
We've got to have a fitting intro for our fitting guest.
We do. So, Jacob, take it away, son.
Our next guest is an absolute living legend. He has had a life and career spanning 8 decades and still going, by the way. A president of 2 iconic clubs in this village of Glynneath, a village very near and dear to his heart.
Yeah, his songs have connected with millions and are sung by thousands around stadiums on the match days. He's a BAFTA winner for Best Programme. He's done loads of television, acting, singing and poetry that will go down in history. Gold albums and reaching the #1 UK charts, the only comedy album to ever do so. An MBE, a father, husband, grandfather and great friend of many, including myself. Everybody, Mr. Max Boyce.
Max Boyce.
Come on in. And, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, Max Boyce is here with us. Finally. You got it. Hiya, Max. You right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Show me.
Pleasure to have you on here, and I really, really appreciate the time coming on. How have you been?
I've been good, yeah. As you know, I had an injury sort of about a year ago. Yeah. So it's 95% right now. I had this acute sort of bacteria infection in my leg, which I had like an operation. Well, I was 6 weeks in Morrison Hospital.
Really?
Well,
Really?
4 really, and 2 weeks in a fight somewhere at park.
Well, same with me. I've been in the hospital. So
I know, yeah.
We were talking about that. Boot buddies at
I
one
know.
point.
I feel like I'm the only one who's alright.
Yeah, you were alright.
I'm doing alright.
You're going on tour as well. You're still doing shows.
Well, what happened was when I had this injury, I
Okay.
had to cancel all the concerts that I was doing then, which is back in a year ago now. So luckily the theatre said, as long as you come back, we won't charge you. So it's all been rescheduled for end of September and October. So the first one back actually on my birthday, actually on September the 27th, I'm in the arena in Swansea. So it's all sold out because people haven't taken their tickets back. So it's I'm looking forward to it, but a bit of trepidation as well because it's been so long. So I'll have to rehearse in front of the mirror a bit, I think, before then.
Yeah, is that what you do? Is it rehearsing in the bedroom better?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I find early in the morning my mind is bright then.
Yeah.
So sometimes I write late at night or early in the morning, but it's I get by, and it's I don't go for the mirror, but I go through all the words in my mind.
Yeah. And like you've been doing it for such a long time, you still get the same buzz as
I do.
All those years ago.
Yeah, it's if anything, I'm more nervous now because I don't want to undo what I've achieved, So I get a bit more wound up, but people appreciate I've been doing it for a long time, and it's strange. When I'm in England, people come up to me and they say, "Oh, Max, you had Mr. Boyce." They say, "You had a remarkable career, spanning some 5 decades." When I'm in the valleys, they come up to me in the valleys and they say, they talk to me as if I'm a clock, and they say, "You're still going then?"
Still ticking.
I say, "Yeah, listen, tick, tick, tick."
You're still going strong. That's brilliant. And I'm sure we'll get into all the stuff that you've done throughout your life and career. But when I was thinking of, well, first of all, actually, before we get into that, you haven't met Jacob before Tiny. I know we spoke off camera. So this is Jacob. I'm wearing my Glenny's top.
I've got my Rumney top on.
His Rumney top on.
Yeah.
And when we were thinking about what to ask you today, we were coming across some stories, and there was a connection between Rumney and Glenneath.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember.
Well, yeah, I do. I vividly. It was back in the 60s when Glenneath had an invincible sort of season during that time, and Rumney had a good side as well. So they combined. The selection was very difficult to pick just a team to go to South Africa. And it was the first team ever to go to South Africa. And they played like curtain raisers before the test matches. And they played in front of huge crowds. And people remarked that little team from 2 villages was more successful than the Welsh team that out there at the time. But they played against sides like equivalent to the Ospreys or the Scarlet. They played like regional sides in South Africa. So I think they won 1 and lost 2, but they were playing against, huge opposition.
Yeah. Well, that invincible team, is quite famously with fantastic players, isn't it? So I can imagine they done well out there. Like.
Yeah, it was, of that Glenneath team, then lots of them went to play first-class rugby after that. So, but I remember going to dinner in Cardiff to saying, farewell to Glenneath, and they came back with, glowing tributes for the way they played and the way they behaved.
Yeah.
Do you know what the connection is? Why Rumney and Glenneath then? What was that connection?
No, I don't know.
It's strange, isn't it?
I don't know how that came about. I think the friends in both teams, I think. So I don't know why. But we kept it up for years after, and there's still a close association, and we got great respect for for Rumney, and there's an affinity between us, obviously, because of that.
Yeah. Wasn't there a story about a pitch inspection?
Didn't you do a couple of pitch inspections? Somebody told me they were waiting for something, and you came on and did a pitch inspection. I can't remember the full story. I'd had a few by then.
You can't remember the story. Are you doing the pitch inspections and work on the pitch around here as well?
Oh yeah. It's I enjoy it. It's therapeutic.
Yeah,
and it all started really when I was captain of the golf club, and they decided to dig up 6 of the greens. I said, you can't decide to dig up. You have to have professional advice, So I spoke to this guy, John Roger Jones, who was a top golfer in Wales, who played for Wales amateur team, and he was a good friend. So he said, ring the British Turf Research Institute in Bingley in Staffordshire. I rang up, and a guy said, who was speaking? I said, Max Boyce. Good God, he said, with it, he was Boyce Kamara then, right? And he was the head agronomist.
Yeah.
So he said, don't do anything. He said, till I come down. So he came down, and And he looked at he had like a magnifying glass. He's on like one of the greens. He said, "Yes, you got some smooth meadow grass. You got some Yorkshire fog. You've got brown top bent and some all these different grasses." And I said, "You are the man I wanted. You are the man." So I went back to committee and I said, "I've had this man down." I said, "The head agronomist of the Turf Research Institute in Bingley in Staffordshire." And he went to the 6th or whatever it was. He said, "You got all these grasses here. You've got brown top bent, you've got green meadow grass, Yorkshire fog, all." And Glenn Davis said, "Grass is grass."
I was thinking that.
I know. I did know somebody speak.
So that's how I got interested in sort of looking after the field.
Yeah.
I saw how important it was. So what little knowledge because it was in a terrible state at the time, and they people try and do things, cut corners and they'd add all this seed and it was like it was motorway mix. It was for putting stuff on the size of motorway. So we spread all the field with weed.
Oh my God.
So we got rid of that eventually, and I've really enjoyed it. I don't cut it; the chairman cuts it, but I look after it and do whatever I can. I've had friends and I've done little favours for people who got tractors and various things, and so it's in great condition now. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. What I wanted to mention before we get into the chat is I'm going to show you something now, right?
Right.
We had a few sponsors for the episode. We had Trust Scaffolding.
Right.
Local. We try to reach out to local companies.
Yeah.
Greg Roberts, what we know. Cumgrachi is mine. And I won't get you to do it now. He said part of the deal.
Right.
He said, "I'll give you some money for the sponsor, but I want Max to sign his grog." He said.
Yeah.
So here we are. That's his grog.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there.
That's a special one. That's the 5th anniversary of Live at Treorchy. Yeah.
Wow.
And the grog shop. The grog shop made them special. There's very few of them, very few.
I know. So I said, I'll try and sort that for you.
Yeah, we'll do that, no problem.
James Parry as well, Wales Roofing Solutions, who is sponsored very kindly. And Warmer Glaze.
And Lloyd Oakley's driving
school. And Lloyd Oakley's driving school. Sorry, that's Jacob's father. And I was talking with my father, who runs Warmer Glaze, and you've got an affiliation with Warmer Glaze.
Yeah, I got wobbly windows.
We're trying to promote, babe.
I know. Oh, you won't be happy with that.
But they'll remember wobbly windows before they remember Warmer Glaze, let me tell you.
Oh, brilliant. But I was asking him, and I always remember him talking about you wrote a jingle for Warmer Glaze.
Oh, God, I can't remember it now.
Do you remember?
Don't worry about it, Max.
I'll jog your memory. Here we go.
Here he comes in his brand new van, my friend, the home improvement's man. Conservatories, windows, doors, or bays, you just call on Warmer Glaze.
It goes again,
The windows aren't the same, they're not even in the frame. Warmer Glaze are the ones for me, the double glaze and the ports are free. Warmer Glaze.
I played banjo on that.
I know,
That's fab, that is. That's
I
brilliant,
can
that
do
is.
it. I just thought that was brilliant.
We had fun, great fun doing that. He said he didn't set any windows though.
His sales went down.
Oh, fantastic.
You have to think of one now. How's your mum?
Yeah,
I like that. That was
No,
good.
That's
brilliant.
fab. It's been stuck in my head all day. Me and him been singing it all day.
When we were setting up here, we go into conservatories, windows, doors. Oh, fantastic.
Brilliant, man.
So, as you know, we just mentioned, How's Your Mum is the name of the podcast. And we like the reason we called it that is because, I don't know, we kind of like bit old fashioned a bit. Like we went around here, we go, "Oh, how's your mother?" That's to get into a conversation, isn't it?
No, it's a good
A
title.
lot of people do it, don't they?
Obviously your mother's passed now. But I wondered, like, if you could connect it to your childhood, been started in your early life. What was sort of your relationship with your mum growing up, and what was that kind of like?
Well, it was very special. You know, she was, both parents really, because as you know, my father was killed in the ground a month before I was born. So it was obviously a tough time for my mother. Not for me, obviously, because I was so young, and in the Valley community, we all helped, and my family helped. So I didn't see want for anything, but it was a tough time for my mother. And she was given, they fought the case against the mine owners, Bevans, and they won the case, and she was given, I think it worked out to like 50p a week to bring me up, So
wow.
so it was Yeah, it was negligence. It proved there's a gas in the mine and no one checked. So over in Onllwyn, just across the mountain. So some mother, because of that, had a huge influence on my growing up and throughout the whole life, And I was very fortunate, because she lived till she was 95, and I was able to look after her in her later life and pay her back in small measure for, what she did for me. So she's a special mum.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's lovely.
Really lovely.
I wondered if we can just touch on, what happened with your father as well. Like you said, at that age, you wouldn't have been affected much by it because,
No.
But was there a time in your life where you got to a stage and you were, maybe thinking that it's not the norm, what's happening here?
Not really, no. And as I've said before, that we never really talked about it. It was still, because my mother was only 20 something.
Yeah.
And she never spoke about it, and I never asked her even when I was older.
Yeah.
So it was still so what's the word, acute and so in her life, and so that I never got to talk. And funny enough, only about a year ago, a local builder, he was a bit of an historian, came across this cutting in the paper about what had happened to my father, and he sent it to me, and only then I found out the details of what had happened. Wow. So that was a couple of years ago. 2 years ago. So it was still raw. That's what I was looking for. It was still raw in her mind, and she never spoke to me, never mentioned it. And in time then I never brought it up. So I didn't know anything really until 2 years ago.
I wonder if that is like a part of the time where people maybe do close themselves off a little bit.
Yeah,
because
to avoid the pain.
Yeah, where people maybe be more now open to talk about things. But did any of that sort of inspire any of your writing? Did it make its way in, or? Oh yeah,
well, because of that. I mean, I went to work. I had to go because I had to leave school when I was 15. I couldn't get a job anyway. I had no qualifications. So I had to work in the last place my mother wanted. Imagine, the last place. So, but I went because it's the only job I had, and we had no money at all. So I had to go and work at 16 in the local colliery. And but I'm glad looking back now, it enabled me to write of first hand of a huge part of what Welsh life was at the time. Mining made South Wales in many ways. Yeah. So I was able from first hand experience to write something that was acute and meaningful, and probably the best songs I've written, and they remain as a legacy, I suppose, to my whole upbringing. And I've always thought that man's greatest work, is from personal experience. Yeah. And those songs meant a great deal to me, and I think that experience and losing my father came out in those mining songs. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because my father was a miner as well. We're talking 60s, 70s, 80s, and this is a long time after you went. But, you kind of just answered it, but they really with the mine and the stories that you must have had from and the people you must have met and how that works into your
because they were very special people, they were very menial tasks, almost like semi-slaves, working in the twilight world. But regardless, they read philosophy and their religion, and you could talk to them about anything, and they were a flux of people that perhaps you'll never see again. No. And they were wise, and above all, the respect they had for their job. They had pride. That's the word. Yeah. Had pride in their job, huge pride in what they're doing. And if you could say to someone then about so, die Thomas, good collier. And if you could say that,
it's a measure of a man.
That was a measure of a man. Good collier. Yeah. That meant more than anything. Yeah.
Wow. And I suppose you do get so many characters down there, and is there a story or something you have from down there that's really stays with you to this day, whether it's funny, whether it's sad, or is there something that you think back?
Offhand, I can't think, but they were all characters, and humour was prevalent underground because it was an antidote to the conditions that we were sort of working under, and what it was a shared experience. Yeah, and it didn't matter what you did, whether you're a craftsman or a collier or whatever, we all shared the same conditions, and that made very special people. And I'm glad I touched that last generation of those people. They're remarkable people, very proud people.
Because you hear a lot of people saying, you know, for instance, like the British Nice Lions tours, and they all go off and they say it doesn't. I think it was Willie John McBride who said, you know, you meet these people years after the tour and you've always got that bond. That's what that reminded me of. You know, you've always got that, you know, if my father, for instance, meets up with his friends from the colliery, we've always got that thing between us.
And I've spoken to lots of people who worked underground. And when they went to the factories, they were never the same, you know.
No.
And they never said, not the same as underground.
No.
Because there was it was a community, you know.
Yeah. And there's a line from one of your most famous songs, Do It's Hard. Every time I cough,
I get a mining souvenir. Yeah.
We were listening to it earlier, weren't we? And it always gives you a bit of chills listening to that.
Yeah,
because
and that song came from just reading the Western Mail one morning, and there was an advert for carpets, right? Right. Songs.
I don't know how they're going to link up now.
No. When there's an advert for carpets, and the address of the carpets was the old pitted baths, Cwm Colliery, Ebbowvale. And the pitted baths have been changed to a factory.
Yeah.
So I thought, it's a great line there. And the pitted baths is a supermarket now.
Yeah.
That's where I had it from this small advert in the paper.
Wow.
You know?
It's amazing where I always find it fascinating when you have, you know, artists and creatives, when they pick their inspiration from. Obviously, the mine is massively. But your first love was poetry, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I always wonder, I've seen some bits you've said in the past about, well, first of all, where did that love come from, poetry?
Well, for my English teacher, I was in school. And I love those monologues, you know.
Yeah.
There's a one-eyed yellow idol to the north of Kathmandu and Hiawatha and all those fantastic monologues. I really wanted to write that type of thing, which I did eventually.
Yeah.
You know, in The Incredible Plan, but that was based on those monologues. I love poetry because and I love country music, but country music is poetry really put to music, you know, because they tell stories, and that's all I've done really, is tell stories through song and through and through my poetry. And there's one that we're talking about mining and effective. This is very not well known because it's not on an album that sold millions, so it doesn't mean it's any less.
No,
but it's not so well known. That's a shame really, because some of the later stuff I done was better than the early stuff, but it didn't have that coverage, you know.
Yeah, no.
And this is, you're talking about in a community like this, and perhaps you don't remember, but when I was growing up, the coal was delivered in the back lanes behind the houses, and the coal was put in through the coal house door, and big lumps in first and the little bits behind, and so the coal was blocking the back lane. So my job, my mother was helping, and my grandmother, my job was to make a pathway so people don't have to climb over the coal to put it in the coal house. And I remember my mother saying, I said, because after a while I got fed up, you know, and I said, come on, Mum, I've had enough now. And she said to me, if you would see where men had been in places low and bad, you wouldn't leave a lump behind. Not one might call you lad. Wow. So I thought, so I wrote this thing called Close the Coal House Door.
Oh, please.
When I was just a lad and the coal one's lorry came, I'd run and tell my grandad, hey, the key, can I help you, please? Can I get you dungarees? Can I help you? Can I please, the key? He told me, ask your mother. Better ask your mother first. Perhaps she'll cut a box for you where my jack will quench your thirst. And you can have my shovel, the one I've always had, and you can come and help me and be my collier lad. So I put on my old trousers with a hole ripped in my knee, and I hope the boys will see me helping my Darkey. I helped Darkey to make a wall and to make a pass in place, and when he wasn't looking, I rubbed coal dust in my face. I started getting tired and my hands were scratched and so, come on, I said, Darkey, come on, we don't need any more. Leave those laughy lumps, I said, there's only 3 or 4. Come on, I said, Darkey, come on, let's close the coal house door. He leaned his shovel against the wall and took me on his knee. I said, now listen, my boy back, and listen well to me. If you would seen where men had been in places low and bad, you wouldn't leave a lump behind, not one, my collier lad. But then you're just a collier boy, and you're tired, yes and no. Come, my little collier boy, let's close the coal house door.
Wow.
So,
hey, the clap, that was amazing.
I wouldn't.
That was emotional, wasn't it?
Very, yeah.
I wouldn't. Without my mother saying that, because she was helping me, help me with the calling, which was awful for me to see, you know. And she, I remember vividly saying, like I said, if you would see where men had been in places low and bad, yeah.
Wow. Beautiful, Max. So the poetry, but then it evolves into music.
Because you didn't want to be a musician.
No, never.
But I always wonder when.
Still not now. no.
I mean,
that's the one thing I regret, you know, is that I didn't learn to play the piano. My mother played piano, and I really, really regret that.
Yeah.
Because it would have enabled me to write maybe more various songs, or perhaps just, although, you know, Bob Dylan and Woody Guthrie survived on 4 chords, so
yeah.
So, but I think I would, if I'd have played the piano, I think it would have been a massive help. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, when did you make that jump to? No, I'm going to pick up. When did Max Boyce pick up a guitar? I imagine.
I was 20 something, but it was well, I suppose in the 60s, I suppose, when the skiffle era was big and everyone played guitar then, and I saw this advert in the paper shop underneath, guitar for sale, 4 guineas.
4 guineas?
4 guineas, yeah. £4 shillings, yeah.
Wow.
So I went out to Morava Glass down the Lamb, and I went in and I pretend I knew everything about guitars. I tried to knock him down.
Fake it until you make it, innit?
Exactly. I did knock the guineas off. So I bought it and I never put it down.
No,
and I'm still not good, no. But I loved it, and I went to this music shop beneath to buy some strings, and the guy there in the shop was an agent, and I said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, you know, just sing for yourself, just sing." He said, "Sing me a couple of songs." So I went in his office and I sang the train songs, the Wabash Cannonball, the Wreck of the FFV, and Paddy McGinty's Goat. So he said, you might go down the clubs and sing your songs. Well, I said, I don't think I'm good enough. And he said, yeah, well, you know, so I started going around clubs, and I wasn't very good, you know, not being sort of, I wasn't really good. I was cheap. Anyway, so, you know, it was an apprenticeship. You have to serve. Yeah. And as I got more bookings, I was singing all these songs, none of my own at all. I hadn't written anything really. And then, you know, I started doing bigger clubs, and I was getting some desperate, like I was getting not booed off, but paid off. You know,
booed off.
Not booed off, but not didn't even go on second off. Which is worse.
Don't let him come back on.
Yeah, we've got better people in the audience than you back. Oh, there we are then. So as I say, but you have to live through that. You know, there's no entertainer that hasn't gone through that. But it hardened me up. You know, when I started, I said, I had enough of it. I was held by rejection. And so I started going to 4 clubs then, and there was one in Gleneath, in the Rock, and now upstairs in the Rock. But I started going to the Valley Folk Club in Pontardawe, and they would lend a willing ear. They listened, you know, and it didn't matter if you made a mess or you got it wrong or you forgot. They were willing to listen to you, and so I got my confidence back. And by then I started writing stuff, and there were folk singers coming from one chap from came down from Newcastle, and Alex Glasgow, and he wrote about shipbuilding, about the Tyne and all that, and about the decline of the ship industry and the mines in the northeast. So I'd like to do that, and so I started writing my own songs, and then gradually I introduced them into my act. Yeah. Amongst the train songs, I'd Paddy McGinty's Goat to be one of mine, you know.
Yeah.
So gradually they got, and then I started introducing these songs, and introducing maybe a little humorous anecdote here and there to link the songs. Yeah. So gradually, over a long period of time, I became a storyteller who sang a few songs along the way. Yeah. So it evolved over a long period, because I had no comedy at all when I first started, none at all.
So yeah, it's, you know, we're talking about how your poetry moves into your music, and you just touched on it there with the comedy, and, you know, coming into your act. Where did the comedy start? Where did it come from?
In the anecdotes, in the links between the songs, I try to maybe tell a song about, say, whatever, tell a story linking to working underground. I can't remember what I did now, but
No.
but there was like a thread of continuity between the songs and the stories, and then I got confidence then of hearing people laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's the secret thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? Once you keep
and
doing
I fell
it.
in love with that then.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it, hearing people laugh, and so I carried on there with like longer stories and writing humorous songs. But again, it evolved over a long period of time.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
where the confidence grew
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it came from.
Yeah, and I can only tell, even now, I can only tell a story if it's got credence, if I believe in it,
Yeah.
Right,
or if it actually happened to me.
right.
I've got the credence to tell the story. If it hasn't happened, something in me doesn't deliver.
Yeah, it has to come from some form of truth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So like the
born of-
mind
born of
stuff,
truth.
so all your work and
Yeah.
you
And
going
they believe, and the
underground.
audience have to believe in what you're saying and what
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
One of my favourite ones, if we can just touch on it, I can't remember what song it was. We were talking about earlier on IG.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you leave and you say, someone had painted my car.
Oh
And
yeah.
you come back in and say, who did it?
Oh, that's-
And a big North Wheeler, Cymru across his chest.
that
Fi nath e. Oh, it's drying lovely.
was at the height of when people were painting signs,
Yeah.
painting signs green in protest against English language,
That's nice. That
road
was it.
signs. So
Was there some truth? Well, obviously, there was.
so I went outside and I said, someone's painted my car green. And I said, that was.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And I think that was on Live at Treorchy.
Yeah, it was, I think,
yeah.
wasn't it? Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I was going to get on to Live at Treorchy. Like, if you could describe a breakthrough album, that's probably it. Because, like you said, you were doing clubs and stuff, kind of unknown, but, building up
No, it
momentum.
was unknown.
Is it true that I read that you couldn't sell tickets on the time? You had to tell, or they were struggling to sell
Well,
tickets?
what it was, I'd cut this album in Pondernow in the Folk Club.
Yeah.
But it's only a tiny room, and quarter size of this, and there was only about 15 there, and they'd heard my songs week in, week out, so there was no spontaneous
No.
reaction, and you can't cheat laughter.
No, you can't.
You can't, no matter what you do, you can't cheat laughter. So I made a conscious decision to go somewhere that had never heard my songs,
Yeah.
but somewhere like my village, and I came up with Treorchy. It's a very cultural village and mining tradition and all that. So I thought I'd take my songs there. I took a chance that they'd understand and appreciate my song. And they had a success on that album, more than me, because they understood every word and they reacted. And what's amazing, and you technicians, boys, one take.
Yeah.
Nothing was changed. It was, they turned
It's brilliant, isn't it?
turned it on and turned it off at the end. That was it. And I wish I could have sat down and changed bits and pieces or cut. Something was too long, but that's the success. It was raw. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely raw.
And that's the best, isn't it? When you are, I think, I was going to ask you, is there a time in your career where you made a big risk, but that feels like a bit of a risk?
There was a risk, yeah, and I chose. But coming back to your original question, yeah, we couldn't sell tickets because that was completely unknown.
Wow.
So I had some friends over there, and they said, "Oh, we'll ask some of the choir, and we'll ask the club," and that. So it was that crowd came that night, not knowing what I did or anything. They just said all they were told was the boy from over the next valley is going to sing these songs, and he hasn't got an audience. So they said it's only 50p.
Yeah.
And I got the tickets there, so with 50p on them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, but we were talking about a Live at Treorchy when we were saying, I was looking up about what people had said about it, and historian, I'm going to read it out to you. Historian Martin John said, Live at Treorchy is as important to an understanding of Welshness as anything Dylan Thomas or Saunders Lewis wrote.
Well, that's very kind of him. Very kind of him.
Yeah. Well, you're in
The professor.
But yeah, is he?
Wow.
It's not the professor's name you want to be looking at.
No, I know. But that I read that and I thought, oh yeah, it is, because it's so like it reflects that time so well.
Yeah, it caught actually, without me realising it, it caught a moment in time.
It did.
You know, that when Wales done a big change, traditional industries are going and I was born in that time and wrote of that time, as people have wrote, and it was during a big sort of folk song renaissance in America and here, and yes, and I was able to capture it in a way that nobody else had, and so I was very fortunate, really.
What was the aftermath of that, like, you know, obviously you were known, and then you got to this level of fame, and then it was kind of, I imagine, hit you square in the face.
Well, it did. EMI then, of course, were absolutely got to have a follow-up, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing.
Of course, and I didn't have any songs, you know, really. So I had to hastily write songs. And that's one of my regrets, really, is that I didn't hold back EMI to try and perfect these songs, because you have to hone them in on a tour and cut bits out and work or improve things so it can be the best it can be.
Yeah.
But these, when I went then to record We All the Doctor's Papers, which went to #1.
Yeah,
you know?
well, we were going to mention that. It's the only comedy album to ever do so.
Ever going to #1. So I was above the Beatles and Pink Floyd and all
We were
sorts
going
of
to
that.
ask.
I was going to ask you
was
that.
right there.
I said I had a very questionable source on this. My brother. He's like, you sure you beat the Beatles to #1? I said, well, I'd have to ask him, but I'm not sure.
We don't want to be throwing things.
Well, it did beat them. I got, I used to buy. I used to
right.
buy the Melody Maker, New Music Express, and look at the charts, and I used to buy them all the time. And I was there like #1 above.
Wow.
Pink
Oh,
Floyd,
my God.
Beatles, and all these huge acts, so much bigger than me. But for 1 week, I was #1, and it went to #3 then. And but
You stayed in the top 40 for a while, though. 17 weeks.
a long time, yeah. And so, but those songs, I wish I could have had. They're okay, but they'd be far better if I had more time to work them in.
Yeah, I get
to
you.
hone them in.
It's
Hone them in. You can only do it in performance comedy anyway.
Yeah.
You can only hone them in performance, you know.
Yeah, because it was so quick after the first
Yeah.
the Cherokee one. So yeah, I know what they like. Once you get a success, they want you to do
Yeah, they were knocking on the door, yeah.
Why do you think it was so successful then?
Well, because nobody had written anything sort of like that before. They tapped into seams that hadn't been discovered really, and all our folk songs then were probably love songs, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd always loved folk music, and so yeah, it was just, I don't know why I was a product of that age.
And speaking of the time, I also think that obviously rugby's a massive influence on your music, and it's of like the golden age of Welsh rugby.
Yeah.
We were joking earlier when we said, well, it'd be a bit different if you wrote it now.
You couldn't write a rugby song.
I'd be writing something different,
Yeah,
you know?
that's what-
But I appreciate what you're saying.
Yes.
You know, it certainly helped. We sort of grew up together, those halcyon days of the 70s in Welsh rugby, and I sort of grew up alongside. We both, influenced each other, really.
Yeah.
So, but if it hadn't been, I've written lots of things, but because that had such attention because of the Welsh rugby, people using those songs. And when I was written other things that were just as good,
Yeah, of course.
but nobody wanted them.
No. it was just such a big movement really in Wales, isn't it? Everyone's behind the Welsh team.
but
It always has been, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's our national sport, regardless of what they say.
No.
And it's like it's a manifestation of nationhood, and it was important to us. We walked the world stage for a while.
Oh my God.
And it'll come back again.
It will.
Yes.
I believe so.
I believe it will as well.
Maybe about 106 you will be.
Don't say that now.
You mentioned getting nervous. One time we seen you mentioned you did get nervous before.
Mentioned it on Dan Lloyd.
Yeah, we were watching. Erin Fleer was interviewing you, wasn't
Yeah.
she? And you spoke a bit about the Sydney Opera House. Obviously, you sold out that. You've played in in front of 80,000 in stadiums and what have you. But is that got a bit of a more of a?
Well, I
thing
was
to
very
it?
nervous there because obviously it was in Australia, and I'd written songs for that night, which again I'd never sung before.
No.
And I didn't know. I didn't know if they were going to react to it, but there was such a warm audience. I couldn't fail really, and I always remember. Talking about thinking on your feet, I always remember at the time, Colin Jarvis was captain then, and he had a big bop of cool. and they opened the show now, and I didn't know this was happening. I looked up, and the producer start the show. They had this guy now, this Aborigine, with all the coloured yellow and red paint all over his face.
Wow.
And hair, playing the didgeridoo. I looked up and I said, God grief, I didn't know Colin Jarvis could play the didgeridoo. So that set it alight.
Yeah.
Because it's how you start on stage is so important.
Really?
How your first 3 minutes determines the next 30 minutes. So that just ignited the audience, and I hadn't seen this guy before.
No.
I thought, what are his sounds,
Yeah. Well,
but Colin took it brilliant. That's when he saw it eventually, and but it was just, and it set me alight, and they were, And I wrote the song because an old saying in Australia, she be right, she be right.
Yeah.
So I wrote the whole thing, put the troubles of the world in there, but she be right. And I got him out to sing the chorus. I can't remember it now, but that was hugely successful. But it would have been even better if I could have done my act, but I couldn't because I did have my band with me.
It was just you, wasn't it?
No, I had some musicians, but they
but
didn't
not
know
you.
me, you know.
No.
And to play for me, you have to know the act rather than the song.
Yeah.
So I was curtailed a bit by that, and the fact I had all these songs that I'd never done before. And Catherine Jenkins was completely unknown girl to give her the chance there to sing for the first to sing, and she sang a couple of songs before I came on, and she was wonderful, and she looked terrific, and she sang terrifically, and we've remained friends. And not that I give her any break, but it was the first major concert that she'd ever done, and so I look back with great fondness that night. Yeah,
I want to touch on rugby. We spoke about it. We mentioned about this photo. Yeah, we took some videos of it. It's new. I haven't seen this before till today. Do you know if you want to mention a bit about it? It's quite a special photo.
It is a special photograph. It's at Ellis Park in South Africa, where South Africa beat New Zealand in the World Cup final, and I was a guest to the South African Rugby Union, and it's the first game that went into extra time.
Yeah,
and it's a photograph which shows 3 minutes in time. It's an amalgamation of 3 moments in time. Just before kickoff, a Boeing 747 flew into the stadium.
That's not a small plane either, is
you
it?
can see it there.
I know.
And
it's
the noise was terrible. Nobody knew what was going to happen. To see a plane coming into the stadium was fantastic. And underneath the wings, they said, "Good luck, Boca." You can see it now. And it obviously flew out again. and then the shot also shows the last minute where Joel Stransky, the Springbok, dropped a goal to win it in extra time for the Springboks. And those 3 moments are in that photograph, which is on the wall here in Gleath. And it was a terrific experience. And I'll never forget like the scenes afterwards when like Nelson Mandela walked on and the crowd, like 82,000 Ellis Park rows of all colour, creed and denomination, and they all sang Koze Shikalili Africa. It had religious overtones, you know.
Yeah.
There's no way that they weren't going to win that day. And I was so glad for the people and for him, a remarkable man, a wonderful man. And it was just a day I'll never forget. No.
Well, it's a historic day, that, isn't it? It's just history written all over it.
Absolutely. A bit more important things now. Glenheath, do you want to talk about? No, I just had a quick question on Glenheath. Is there a time where let me rephrase it. What's your proudest moment because obviously you've engrossed in Glenheath and the rugby club and stuff, is there a proud moment that sticks out, or the team or the club?
Well,
I
think winning the silver balls. I think when we won silver ball 5 times.
Yeah, the most teams to win it.
The only team has ever won it 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah, they were remarkable days. Yeah,
what a competition.
Yeah, and you're talking about all the teams in Glamorgan of all standards really, and to win that 5 times is remarkable. Did you play in any of them?
I didn't. I was a T-boy back then. I was a young kid then. My brother was playing. They won it twice, didn't they? That team. Yeah. So I remember that amazing time.
Yeah, and when we won various championships and things, but that was for me the most memorable. Yeah, and and we played. We had some great days ever since, and it's a very proud club, and
definitely.
It's 130 years old. It's one of the oldest clubs in Wales.
Well, I remember the 125th year. We done well that year. Got promoted to the championship that year. We've had some good times, definitely. We touched on the golf. Obviously, you're president of the golf club as well. My old man was telling me to bring this up to you. The Max Boyce
Classic.
Yeah. And the amount of famous people you had up there. Obviously, you had the Wales #1, or the world #1 golfer. What's his?
Ian Woosnam, Ian Botham. Lytton Large, Jasper Carrot.
Yeah.
There were 40 A-list celebrities. I took some get them all there one day.
I know.
And my favourite story from that, it was heartbreaking because all the members of the club had worked so hard to get it right for me, and they knew how much it meant to me. And the day that it was on, it was the worst rainfall for 87 years.
Oh,
And it was like greens are underwater. You know, it was impossible to play. Ian Botham played the last footballs in his underpants. In his underpants, much to the delight of the women's committee.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but the story I always and I love telling is that Barry John was obviously in his heyday then.
Yeah.
And Barry John was drawn to play with Tyne Oil. Tavis's father. Right?
Yeah.
And anyway, the thing was abandoned after 12 holes, and we only had 3 showers, and you had like 160 players come off at once, so it's impossible. So Di says to Barry John, Barry, come down on the house. I only live 100 yards from the club. Come down, have a bath in my house. You never have a shower. There's so many people. It's chaos here. And he said, so Barry said, okay. So he goes down to Diana's house now, and he's in the bath, and Di's on the phone to his father. George, credit Beth. George, give a guess who I got in the bath. Who have you got now? Barry John, yes. He said, don't leave the water out, he said, we'll bottle it. So that was a story that sort of summed up that day. And I always remember Barry saying, it was a lovely man. He said, "Pabek so Max, he always spoke Welsh to me." He said, "Don't worry, Max. Said, no one, if this had been a fine day," he said, it would just been another golf day. But he said this would be remembered for as long as any of us would play. He said, and it did. And everybody came back. They were so sorry. Every single celebrity and every firm came back apart from Wobbly Windows. And
he lost that day, didn't he?
They all came back a year after, and so it was a memorable day, and I never wanted to do it ever again, because if I knew the weather was nice, I'd do it, but you can't.
No.
But it made it all the more memorable. I put Royal Glenith on the map.
Yeah, it did. And
wow.
There's fantastic photos of it at the golf club. You
Yeah.
see them all on the
Really?
greens. Like,
That's lovely. I'll have to pop up here.
Yeah.
You've done obviously a lot of stuff with music, but when I was reading up about you, when me and Jacob were, you've done a lot of things that kind of blow my mind a little bit. The one that I have to ask you about is the time that you played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well,
Played, trained. What
happened was this film company came up with an idea that Jasper Carrott, Billy Connolly, and myself would look at sport in America, and Billy would look at look at baseball. Jasper would look at soccer, and he played for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, I think they're called.
Rowdies, great name.
That's
a great name.
And I was to look at American football, because they've been told now to try and sell the program that I was the biggest thing in Welsh rugby, right? I was thinking I was a player, right? Obviously.
Great.
So, and I was like 40 something, and I wasn't any good anyway, right? So, but it made huge news in America. Not just, you don't realize how big the Dallas Cowboys are.
Oh, massive.
Bigger than Man United to this country, you know. And of course, all the press of the world, all the press of America waiting for me to get off the plane. This fantastic overseas signing, you know. So I got off the plane in Dallas, and all the Fox News and NBC and BBC, all these cameras are there and all waiting for me. And I come off the plane, and this guy said to me, "You're kind of small, ain't you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm being very well looked at." And you can laugh, right? And they set me on to ascertain and they just come off the plane, right? And to ascertain my fitness, because I was going straight into camp, ascertain my fitness, send you on like a 10-mile run in all the gear.
The helmet?
90 degrees, the helmet, all that. And they could do it in about, I don't know, whatever it was. You had to do it in less than half an hour, whatever, you know. So they set me up. When I came back, it was dark. You know? They can look at me with torches. The cap lamp.
Mr. Boyce.
So I was immersed in this training camp in Thousand Oaks in California, or in Dallas. And what they made of me initially, like, I don't know. But I've always been very competitive, and I worked hard at anything, whatever I've done, I've really worked hard at it. And this coach, Tom Landry, was the biggest coach in America, the Mormon minister, this Trilby hat. Yeah. And they had this tackling thing I had to do, where it was like a boxer's punch bag, huge thing bag. I would hit it, run it, and hit it against a big spring on this big shaft and lock the end. If you could do it, lock the end. Well, this guy's 20 odd stone now, and I was 9 stone. Impossible, right? But I thought I kept practicing and I was worn out. So I was practicing on my own how to try. It's like a technique on my own. And one night you could hear this clanging, me getting bashed about with this bag. And he said, "Hey," and he saw me, "Hey, number 10, you never call me. Hey, number 10, take it easy on that bag." And he said, "You got enough." And always remember, he said, "You got enough wano to make it."
I got enough what, sorry?
I want to. You got enough wano to make it. And he took to me, and as I stuck at it, and impossible odds. Impossible.
Did you actually get on the pitch?
Well, the plan was they picked the side. They taught me to play blue toss 39-on-2, which is a.
Oh God!
Oh my God.
And they give you a rule book anyway. So playbook rather. So they picked now to play Green Bay Packers, where they were poorer side at the time in the league. And Dallas Cowboys just won the Super Bowl, right? Wow. So they thought they'd win that easy. So I'd play the last two plays. Yeah. Blue toss 39-2. And they lost. They lost the opening game.
Oh, no.
So I was so disappointed because at the start, I went through the whole thing at the start because you're introduced on the tannoy, not as a team, individual. Yeah. The attack information. And wearing number 52, wearing Drew Pearson from Kentucky High. All these cheerleaders dancing, pom-poms, band playing fireworks. I wear number 85, Too Tall Jones from USC. And I was wearing number 10 from Treforest School of Mines. Running back, Max Boyce. Yeah, who's that? Treforest School of Mines. That's what it was, South Wales University. It was Treforest School of Mines. Wow. Was where I went to. And so I had to run the length of the field on my own now to meet up with the rest of the team. And all high fives and, well done, Max. Well done, Max. You won't have water on me again. And then, because I waited 3 hours to play my blue toss 39-on-2, I never got on. Never. But what made the film at the end, then, we put like a Coke can outside the pitch. And I waited for all the crowd to empty, and there's no electricity. The stadium was black, and it's all like, and I'd run up like this with all the gear on, run up and kick this can, cut the film, and see it can going over the post. I don't enough water to make.
Oh, fantastic! I always wanted to ask you about that. And
again, come right back.
My brother was telling me, you got to ask.
Yeah, you
can. Obviously, that's such an amazing experience, but is there any job or something that you've done that has left a mark on you, whether it's good or bad? Like
riding bulls.
What?
Riding bulls.
I bet it did,
It did, because the success of that, I was nominated for, didn't win it, but nominated for a BAFTA for that. Anyway, success of that then led the company to think of what else can I do, because I'd used all my material up, so they wanted me on TV, but I had no material, so they're trying to think of things up. So they said, we've done American football, that's America's sport, but America's truest sport is rodeo riding. Wow. Oh, so we're going to send you out to America to be a rodeo star. And I've been an horse, right?
Ride a bull.
So I tried all these things, different ways, but bull riding was the one they wanted to show, because it was like terrifying. And the year I was there, five had been killed on bulls, Jesus, so wow. I rode in about 6 rodeos, and I couldn't stay on. It was only 8 seconds, right? But forever, Yeah, it was absolutely forever. And I was in Pikes Peak or Bus Rodeo, and I said, "Can you give me? I can't ride these bulls." I said, "Can you give me a bull? That's not very well, or whatever."
Well, it's on its way out.
3 legs.
Yeah. 2 legs, or old or whatever.
Timid.
You don't wear no. You don't know. You ain't gonna win no. You ain't gonna win no silver belts riding some corn husker from Arkansas. You're right. Because the thing is, to win these medals, the belts, the bull
like
gets
the buckle.
yeah,
belts,
yeah.
Like.
The bull gets marked at 50, and you get marked at 50. So if you have a really wild bull, you can get a high score.
Oh.
So I said, that one there, I said, that was quiet. Try that one, Max. Try that one there, Geronimo. No, I don't want him.
Geronimo.
And that was, once he got bone crush, I know what to do. I said, that one, what's that quiet? Lollipop. That's the one I said. I want to ride Lollipop. Right. So we get the bull in the chute now, and I'm on Lollipop. He's quiet and docile. And he's brilliant. Come on, Lollipop. We can do this. Come on.
Do me a favour.
Come on. So I got my some strapped on the bull like that now. And they opened the gate, the bloody thing took off, right? You stood up like that, you twisted his skull, his saliva smarting from his mouth, and grunting and spinning. God. And I stayed on for 8 seconds, like I was trapped underneath the bloody thing, right? So I said to him, what happened to Lollipop? Oh, he said, I said, you went mad. He said, you go mad as well if I put 6 volts up your ass. He had a car battery. And when he opened the gate, he stuck the prongs up the bull's behind.
Oh, no.
The bull scored 40 and I scored 6. I came 4th.
I'll take that.
That's a true story.
Wow.
And I didn't fall off. I came off underneath. And
you were stuck to
I was stuck. I was strapped. I rode the last 4 seconds underneath the bull.
So that really did leave a mark on you.
It did leave a mark, yeah.
Literally.
But they were. I came away with huge respect for those Cowboys.
Wow.
Yeah. They were riding just to survive, and to if they didn't win, there'd be no food on the table at the end of the week, you know. And they were great to me, you know. They were huge respect for them.
Last little bit I wanted to touch on was you said you wrote bulls. You said you've played American football. You've also rode elephants, haven't you?
Yeah, well, again, the success.
Not just elephants.
Well, no, again, the success of that American football and the rodeo riding, they just find something more obscure again for me. And so they came across this thing. There was the World Elephant Polo Championship was held in above the jungles of Kathmandu. So
What's this?
What's this now?
But I thought it sounds great.
Yeah.
And Kathmandu. And I came back to the poem I loved. There's a one-eyed yellow idol to the north of Kathmandu.
Yeah, well, we mentioned that. Really.
So I have a go at it anyway. So I got there. I didn't know I was going to play or whatever. So we were the Cartier jewellery team. So it was Billy Connolly, Ringo Starr was the Beatles.
Come on.
Jacob's a big Beatles fan.
And Barbara Bach was Ringo's wife. So that was our team. And but it was remarkable. Like I sat on top of elephants, like playing polo in the jungles above Kathmandu. It was like so surreal.
I know, how bananas is that?
It was totally, but a fantastic experience, you know. And these elephants, right? and I was on this huge elephant first half. And it was
first half.
Yeah, well, it was. And I'll tell you why I say first half. So I was trying to hit this ball now, this long stick about 10 foot, like a kidney bean stick, right? and I missed the ball and hit this baby elephant on the trunk, right? And as the democracy in elephant polo, you change elephants half time, so there's no, in case someone better than this. So I had this little elephant second half. You don't come near me. In case I hit him in the trunk again. So we played all the second half with only 3 elephants.
You're running after them,
and they used to stop, and the elephants just stamping the ball. The guy had to come on and dig the ball up to carry on playing. It was the most surreal thing I'll ever do.
Well, lucky you didn't get trampled.
Oh, I know. But they wouldn't go. They wouldn't. The mahout, the guy that drives the elephant, we're playing against the king or the prince, or he was of Nepal. Wow. And they wouldn't. They wanted him to have the ball all the time, but there's a chance.
It's not fair. It's not, man.
How many points did you score, Max? That's the question.
You didn't
score that, did you?
I did score one
goal.
Yeah.
The elephant, the bit in the baby elephant doesn't count as a point.
I so wanted to score, so much wanted to score.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Well,
The
what a
determination
fantastic
was there, man.
experience. Another question that's fallen on from that. You've done, that's amazing. But is there something that you haven't done? That you, like, does Max Boyce have a bucket list, basically?
I don't like bucket lists, I must say, impending doom, but
Yeah, it does. It is a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? As if there's
something I'd like.
you haven't quite done
I'd
yet.
like to. I'd like to have done a bit more acting, and I would have loved, because I think all comedians can act.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to be in a like something like Boys the Black Stuff, or like situation comedy. I would have been. I'll have to maybe write one or try if I get enough time.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to have been in something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that touched everyone's lives, like something working class sort of comedy.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
High Hopes. You in High Hopes?
Yeah,
you
well,
were.
I've been in that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I used to, me and my father religiously used to watch it.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
yeah.
Satellite City and
Yeah, but I was only like
Little bit.
only one little sketch I
Yeah.
did on that. But
did you enjoy that?
I loved it, yeah. Give me and you know, it's amazing how that was out of nothing, really. This American comedian, I can't remember his name, saw that little clip and put it on his YouTube thing or whatever.
yeah.
And it went viral all over America. They don't know who I am or anything. But they just loved the story.
Yeah,
and he's touring another guy. And
Wow.
he hasn't got a clue who I was or what it was all about.
Wow.
So you never know,
It was right up your street. That was
Well,
great little
maybe-
comedy piece.
Yeah. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see you writing something in the future. A little sitcom, maybe. That'll be brilliant.
Keep me in jet in mind,
I'd-
innit?
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
You can be a failed guitarist.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I know to play our one.
Yeah, you wouldn't be far off with it, Max. You wouldn't be far off.
But you've had this amazing life and an amazing career. But you like I said, you're still doing shows, and you've still done really successful work recently. And a special poem that you written during COVID, wasn't it? You've got it there. I wonder if you wanted just to say.
At the height of COVID, and I remember seeing these films of out in Italy where they were in the hospitals, where all rats were scuttling in the corridors, and yet out in the streets there was these tenors outside on the balcony singing arias to each other across. And I thought, oh gosh, I've got to. And I was inspired really, by the bravery of the carers and the nurses and the doctor who went through that. So, and a girl wrote to me from the NHS saying to write something to lift the spirits of the front line. So, and I was coming home one night from Swansea, and everything was in darkness. All the doors were locked and shuttered, and yet, as you can see, along the front in Mumbles, you can see the moon was out and the tide has gone out. And I thought, the only thing that's gone out now is the tide, because everybody else was like indoors. So I came up with the idea was when just the tide went out. Last night as I lay sleeping, when dreams came fast to me, I dreamt I saw Jerusalem beside a tideless sea. And one dream I'll remember as the stars began to fall was Banksy painting Alan Wynne on my neighbour's garage wall. And dreams like that sustain me till these darkest times have passed, and chase away the shadows no caring night should cast. But time like this can shine a light, as trouble often can, to see the best in people and the good there is in man. And I remember Swansea with nobody about, when the shops are closed like Sunday and just the tide went out. And I remember Mumbles with the harbour in its keep, and the little boats at anchor that fished the waters deep, and heard the seabirds calling as the gulls all wheeled about, but all the town was sleeping now, and just the tide went out. And when these days are over and memories remain, when children painted rainbows and the sun shone through the rain, and I remember nurses who stretched all the pain and hope they never get to see a time like this again. And I remember Swansea with nobody about, when the shops are closed like Sunday, and just the tide went out. I thought the time of Boris, when he knocked on heaven's door, and I thought of voting Tory, which I'd never done before. And though the sun was shining, I had no immediate plans, so I wrote a book on staying in and ways to wash your hands. I'm still here in lockdown, more weeks of staying in. I'm running out of vodka now. So I started on the gin. And my neighbours are complaining. I heard them scream and shout with the noise the bins are making. And I took the empties out. And I remember Swansea with nobody about when the shops are closed like Sunday and just the tide went out. Some wanted Christmas cancelled, but the piper calls the tune. And hark the herald angels sing wouldn't sound the same in June. So I wait here with my vaccine, though I know there's some delay. So order mine on Amazon, and I'll get it yesterday. And when all this is over and our fragile world survives, I hope that God is caring now for the ones who gave their lives. And I pray we'll find an answer, for my faith is cast in doubt, and God draws back the heavens, and all the stars come out.
Wow. Fantastic. That's such a brilliant piece of writing.
Yeah, it is.
I've said it in music now as well, so
Have you?
yeah. So by the first night on tour,
Oh, wow.
I'll be doing it for the first time.
Wow.
Oh, that's exciting, isn't it?
Mm.
Oh, wow. I'm excited to hear that. Will it be? Well, you have to go watch the shows, won't we?
Sold out, boy.
Damn.
I'll get you too.
Yeah. It's spare little tickets, me and Jacob.
Yeah.
There's just a few other things we want to touch on because obviously we can't really forget about your 80th, getting the statue, Max. I was there that day. It was a fantastic day. You know, had a massive guard of honour basically through the whole village and led by the band. And what I will say, the best bit about the day, we beat us to gun race as well. So.
Which was bets, man.
We're losing half time.
Yeah, we were.
And Grant said, don't spoil Max's day.
No way. Go in half time, give him a talk, innit?
Yeah. So that's obviously a massive, day for you. And
Yeah, I find it
if you
hard to look at the
on this-
statue. It's like as if it's somebody else, really. It's like, it's really strange. I can't get used to it, really.
Really?
And I go, whoa.
It's me.
And it's, of course, it's always be 2 years younger than me.
I remember asking you, have you seen the statue yet? He said, yes. I went, a guy from Gleath, what's his name now?
Ruben,
that's it. Very talented artist. And you said, I asked him, have you seen the statue yet? Well, I did, but I hadn't an head at that point. It was headless.
I know, it was awful to come and see without, it was awful.
I can't
He
imagine.
said, where's my head? He said, it's in the shed.
Yes, it is.
It was. So he took my head out, put it on the statue to see what it looked like.
Brilliant. And we wanted to touch, I was working on the Llais the other day, doing some interviews with the presenters and the coaches, and your granddaughter was on there, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she got through to the semi-final.
Yeah, she done well, didn't she?
Yeah.
I thought she was fantastic. And reason I bring that up, is that the same granddaughter that you bought a birthday cake for? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
No?
That's Rossin,
No.
the one who sang on a Llais.
But there's a story
the
about...
birthday cake. That is...
It's a great story.
Takes some telling, really.
He hasn't told me about it. He said,
what it was, my Evelyn, who was 3 at the time, my daughter lives in Swansea, and she said, this woman in Kilfrew, llygad yr hael, Kilfrew, outside Neath, she makes fantastic birthday cakes. So I've had her to make this cake. Will you call in and pick up the cake and bring it to Swansea as you're coming down? I said, okay, no problem. So I set off now. So I'm in the street I'm knocking on the door. And this woman goes, oh, good God. Oh, Max Boyce. Oh, good God. Oh, good. Oggy. Oh. I said, is this 23 Llygad yr hael? No, Bach, no, it's not 23. I think 23 is across the road, she said. It's where that Sky van is. I think it's that thing. So I knocked this door, knocked on it. Oh, mother God. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at all the records back. Oh, yeah. Is this 23 Llygad yr hael? No, Bach. Try across the road. I've just been there. No, try across the road there. So it's about 9 houses out. 23 Llygad. I couldn't find anywhere, right? So finally knock on the door now. So this woman comes out. Same reaction. This woman comes out now with a penny for rock curlers in her hair. I go up to knock. He said, oh, I don't believe it. Graham, come quick, come quick. We won the postcode lottery. I said, only come for the cake.
was it the right house?
Yeah.
That was it. Oh, fantastic. That's such a good story.
Postcode lottery.
That postcode lottery.
All the street
I
are
know,
out singing,
I
shouting,
imagine.
on singing, yeah.
Wow.
23 each, like an aisle.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic.
Had to give us some money then.
Yeah. I know, sorry, no. We like to finish with some quick fire questions. It's kind of just like this or that.
Yep.
So,
Go on, you ask the first one. It's a bit more.
real tough one.
Yeah.
Right? This might be the toughest question you've ever been asked in
Right,
your
right.
whole life. Cwm grach or O'Sullivan?
Go grach.
Oh,
You had to think about
you
that.
had to
one.
think about that.
You had to think about
Go on,
what about, I'm going to go to this. Golf or rugby?
Oh,
Rugby.
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it?
it's got to be.
Got to be.
Night in or a night out?
I don't.
Yeah.
I love that answer. I love it. Yes, I love it. Now, this could be probably one of the toughest questions.
Oh, I.
Live at Treorchy or we all had doctor's papers?
Live at York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was expecting that.
It's a tough one as well. Wales to win the World Cup or Glenneath to win the Welsh Cup?
Beneath the window.
Yes. I knew you'd say that.
And I think we'll just finish with this one then. Sydney Opera House, performing at the Sydney Opera House or in front of 80,000 the Principality?
No, 80,000 the Principality.
Really?
Definitely,
Wow.
yeah. That was something special. I don't get chance. And to write a song with humour in it, and to 80,000 people laughing as well.
Everyone loves it.
You don't get that. Where else are you going to 80,000 people? Like, yeah, very special. That was a privilege.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. So there we go, Max. I think we will leave it there. Again, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Yeah.
Privilege.
I'd like to say, being from Glenneath, you can always forget. It's easy to forget, like, how influential you've been on so many people's lives and like how, well known you are around the world. I can go anywhere in the world and I say from Glenneath and they go, oh, Max Boyce. But for me, knowing, like, living down the road and I see you all, it's always just been Max to me. So it's a pleasure to have you on. Pleasure to call you a friend and thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Diolch. Clap for Max Boyce.
Diolch yn fawr. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch.
And sorry to everybody from Resolve.
He's lost his respect there now. Cheers, Max. Thanks, bud.
Cheers, Max. Thank you, bud.
What an like I know we said at the beginning, I was in absolute awe for
brilliant,
an
wasn't it?
hour.
Wasn't that brilliant?
Ah, mate, I can't. I feel like I've experienced something.
Yeah, I remember I'd look at you sometimes. I was going like, give me the eye like that, like.
What?
Like when you would be like talking or
Yeah.
like if you was reading poetry, I'd be looking at you going like, is it like, this is amazing, isn't
This
it?
is amazing.
It is. Do you know what? An absolute pleasure, and he's stayed around and asked us and give us compliments on the stuff, and
It is mad, isn't it? He is like, again, he's a Welsh
massively.
icon. He's a treasure.
He's a national treasure.
A national treasure in Wales. And honestly, setting up and meeting him beforehand, and I've never met him before.
No.
It was just like, he made me feel so welcome.
Yeah.
It was lovely, and he was put me at ease straight away.
Yeah, he's
Straight away.
as you said. Yeah, well, I didn't know what to expect, like, but he like I
don't
said, put you at
do.
ease, and he's got time for everybody.
Absolutely.
And like, it was a pleasure to do that with him because I get the chance now and again to sit in you with him after the game or after training or whatever, and you have a little chat, like, don't you? And,
Yeah.
and then I'm like this. But to actually sit down and do a full, like, a long length sort of conversation like that in detail about his life, his career, and stuff I didn't know about.
Yeah.
That was an absolute honour. So, Max, diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch. Yeah, can't thank you enough. And thank you to you lot for listening. I really hope you have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We have.
Amazing.
It's gonna take a
We
few
put a
days.
lot of effort into
We
this
have.
as well, to be fair, and we want to thank the sponsors again.
Yeah, please.
They've been amazing.
Trust Scaffolding. All the details will be linked on the screen and stuff. Please check them out. A fantastic company. They do to the utmost standards. Any sort of scaffolding jobs you need, boys, get in touch, please. Wales Roofing Solutions, James Parry as well. Thank you very much, boys. Massive thank you to the both of you.
Yeah.
Any roofing jobs? I don't know a lot about roofing.
Yeah, no.
But
Just tack it up, innit?
Just tag it up.
That's all I know.
Tag it up.
Just tack it up.
They do a bit more than tacking it up.
Yeah.
And what we'll do, boys, we're going to get in contact and we'll do some social media stuff with you in the coming weeks as well. Maybe
Yeah,
some skits.
got some
or
big
whatever.
plans coming up.
We've got some plans, so
keep your eye out for that. This will be a running thing now for this little sponsor. And as always, thank you to Lloyd's Driving School.
Yeah.
A lifetime sponsor. Get those mugs in our shop.
Yeah,
Jake.
there we are.
There they are, but and thank you to, what did Max call him? Wobbly Windows.
Wobbly Windows,
Wobbly
Wobbly
Windows.
Glaze. We always
Wobbly
have to
Glaze.
thank them. And we just want to point it back to you guys. Thanks for the audience. We had great traction, even from the social media posts that we put up about us outside Max's statue. You know, any sort of like, share, comment, it's massively appreciated. You know, we can't thank everybody enough.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube and follow us and give us a rating on Spotify. Massive way to help us. And share things when we post things about this episode.
And tag us when you share us.
And tag it so we can show our appreciation.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, all I have to say, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you, Jake. Always a pleasure.
Never a chore.
Never, and it
It's
certainly
never-
was not a chore
no,
today.
Nowhere near one today.
No. And we'll see you next time, guys.
Till until next time.
Ta-da. Any good?
Any good?
Any good?
Any good?
No?
No, you're not meant to
No,
say.
you're not. No, you were not meant to say.
Okay.
You got it. When I finish speaking, you stop talking. Right, okay. Right.
Oh.
Yes, thank you very much. Ta-da, love.
No?
Oh, Jake.